What's up? Peace and love. Welcome back. We're just out here on the ocean this morning. Very beautiful. So, I usually don't like to tap into the mainstream news highlights too much, but this recent shooting really caught my attention. And it really made me think that, we need to talk about the way that God has been weaponized. Or the concept of God has been weaponized. When you look at this shooting that happened in New Zealand, you have a mosque that got shot up by alleged white supremacists, and it was done in a town called Christchurch. Now, I don't think this is a random coincidence, but let's just say that it was a random coincidence. It feeds into something that's been going on for a really long time. A crusade, basically, that's been happening since the end of the Roman Empire, or since the Roman Empire turned into the Holy Roman Empire. And that crusade has been going on since that time till now. And things like this shooting just perpetuate this crusade, this war between the Christians and the Muslims, right? But certain individuals, certain entities, groups, organizations, governments are very, very adept at manipulating this war, this religious war, and weaponizing God in order to accomplish their own means. And we see how it manipulates the mind. Just look at this terrorist organization you have called ISIS. Anybody who studies the deeper things, the esoteric, would know that ISIS is really the Virgin Mary. So here you have an Islamic terrorist organization named after the Virgin Mother of the Christian organization. Think about that for a second. And you see how these storylines and this crusade and this manipulation, it doesn't just happen at the highest levels, it continues on down. So we see it happening on major levels with big wars, but then we see how God has been manipulated on lower levels. You see that people will even use that phrase, oh, God wants this, or this is what the Lord wills. And at the end of the day, you sit back and you look at life and you ask, what kind of God would be concerned with the little goings-on of everyday people here on earth? To the point where His will is done when somebody does this or that, or His will isn't done when somebody does this or that. And we see how this concept of God is used to manipulate. We see even the President of the United States. He came in, his biggest support group are probably evangelical Christians and Zionist Christians. Why? Why would he feed this group of people? He doesn't seem like a religious guy. Why is he feeding this group of people? He's feeding this group of people because he realizes that he can weaponize their spirituality to his own end. Just like the church might weaponize God. God doesn't like people who shave their heads. That's what a friend of mine, her pastor told her mom, that shaving her head's ungodly. So all of a sudden, God's really concerned about hairstyles. So we gotta ask, how is this possible? How is it possible that spirituality, that people's view of God is so easily manipulated? I mean, you just sit down with a group of Christians and listen to them talk about Muslims, and they don't have very good things to say. And I'm sure, I haven't really spent a lot of time with big groups of Muslims, but I'm sure it's the same going the other direction. So how has this happened? Why has this manipulation happened? How is it that a crusade that started at the end of the Holy Roman Empire could still be going on? That ideology of Christian versus Muslim, you versus me, still be going on. Well, it's going on because people are not the masters of their own spirituality. People turn to the church, people turn to institutions, people turn to the preacher, to the other people, to the government. And this is what you see happen. As soon as you turn away from yourself, as soon as you go away from inside who you really are, for your God, for your spirituality, and you start listening to other people, well, now it can very easily be manipulated. And that's what we see That's what we see going on, and you see that the government is just playing this whole thing up, because now all sorts of agendas get put into the situation. So, for example, you had this shooting. Now, I don't know whether this was an organic incident or whether it was engineered to some degree. I know that they had a shooting drill right around the same time it happened, a live shooter drill. So this is right before this thing happened, which is curious. But I know now there's these live shooter drills happening all over the place, getting people all worked up, getting people's energy, their fear energy going. And it's interesting how it's all happening right as we're going through the spring equinox. So a time of transformation, a time of energetic shift, a time of change. This is when we see a lot of this type of stuff happen, where we see governments, institutions using this energy of this time of year to push their own agenda. So, morning thoughts from down here by the water today. It's beautiful. Beautiful day, beautiful life. Hope everyone's staying blessed. Until next time, peace, love, like, subscribe. I'm out.